Good afternoon, Patriots, and welcome to the first episode of Occam's Razor with RP and M3. This is the new daily show. Susan, congratulations, you made it. Do me a favor, guys, don't forget to like and share this broadcast. Help us get the information to the masses. I see people from all over the world already. Howard F. Beale, I care. Okay, James, you want to split hairs? I've got the razor. Craig Mason, what's up, buddy? Hello to all the mods. Occam. Sarah P, it's Occam. Occam's Razor. Thank you to Real Red Pill Girlfriend and Real Red Pill Mom. Jojo and Wheezy. Everybody who's here helping keep the chat comfy. Karma Anon. Alright, guys. Please do me a favor. Sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, put your thinking caps on, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. The CV-19 crisis is causing aftershocks all throughout the world economy. Everything is at risk now, especially the food supply. Yes, the government can print bailout money, but they can't print food. Food takes time and the production follows a tight schedule. But CV-19 interfered with that schedule. And now there are gaps in the supply chain that will soon show up as food shortages at your local grocery store. Are you prepared? What if you can't buy any food for a couple of weeks? Well, don't panic. Just go to preparewithredpill78.com right now, and you can save $100 off a 4-week food supply of delicious, nutritious food from My Patriot Supply. They're the top-rated company I personally use and trust for my emergency food. You'll breathe easy when you receive your 4-week kit. It gives you enough meals to get you through the coming food shortage nightmare, and the food tastes like home cooking too. So don't delay. Go to preparewithredpill78.com right now. Get your order today. Tomorrow might be too late. Once again, that's preparewithredpill78.com. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel. All right, welcome back, everyone. How is all of our friends doing today? Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. Methods, thank you for joining me once again.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to be here. As always, with we had the great show going on with quarantine, and we knew that we wanted to do something like this, and it was a great opportunity to see if it was worth doing. Obviously, with everybody hanging out and just such a great people that we have, I'm excited we're starting this, man. I really am.
I am too. I mean, it's great to see things evolve, kind of come into our own in the way that we want to discuss things, figure out what the best way to do it is. Obviously, doing it twice a week allows us to put a little bit more thought into everything that we want to talk about. I'm very excited about what we have planned here today. And we wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about, what the format of the show is going to be. What does Occam's Razor mean? And how are we going to handle super chats? We've got a whole bunch of different ideas with the way this show is going to go in relation to how quarantine went. So, I mean, the easiest thing to start off with is the name, Occam's Razor. It's the idea that the simplest of two theories is usually the correct one, just because the more that you have to put into the ideas of the more complicated one, the less likely it is. Think about it in terms of like a crime, okay? So you have someone who's found with a bag of money after a bank was robbed in the backseat of their car. And then you've got footprints leading off in mud off to an apartment complex, and they go to like 15 different doors. Okay, do you go and talk to the guy with the bag of money in his car first, or do you first go and interview everybody in every single one of those apartments where the footprints lead? Probably, most likely, the bank robber is the guy with the bag of money in the car from the bank that just got robbed. And to put it into a real-world context, right now President Trump is talking about Joe Scarborough. We all know the story about Lori Klausutis. What happened? There was an unfortunate incident that took place, and President Trump is calling attention to this cold case. So what's more likely, that a really fit 26-year-old intern who had just got done running like a 5K marathon, that she just passed out from lack of oxygen and hit her head on the desk, or that the congressman whose office where she was found had to dispatch with her because there was an affair going on, which is actually what Joe Scarborough admitted to on the radio program with Don Imus. So this is kind of going to be the way that we inform the chat when we're talking about different things. We want to talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, but we also want to use this principle to come to what we think is the easiest and simplest solution for problems facing us in the world today. Methods, what do you think about that?
I think when we came up with this name, it kind of clicked for both of us because we do have these conversations. We want to be able to speculate. Mm-hmm. I mean, with this movement, all these different ideas get thrown around, and sometimes we just kind of shake our heads. We're like, we don't buy it. And then sometimes it's worth considering. But discussing all of it, we want to be able to do that without people running with certain parts of it and saying, Red Pill said this or Method said that. We want to just speculate or bring up other ideas, but then give our 2 cents on it, like how we feel about it, what's the most likely, scenario for whatever the case is. Because that's one of the number one things that happens is this movement is that we're constantly speculating and bringing up ideas, and it's a beautiful thing. We just wanted to have a format to where we could discuss a lot of it, and then kind of give our 2 cents on it, and then the audience can decide how they feel about it and all that. And also what we wanted to do, I'll go ahead and talk about the format, Red Pill. Yeah. We absolutely love being able to interact with the super chats, reading the questions and all that stuff. But we also understand that it kind of just interrupts the flow when me and Red Pill are talking about certain things, and it might take us in a different direction and we don't get back to the topic that we wanted to because we're out chasing butterflies of a conversation. Mm-hmm. What we decided to do, since we are adding an extra half hour to the show, is that the first hour of conversation is going to be just that, the super chats, or we're not going to be stopping to read them at that moment. We're going to be focusing on the conversation. But also one thing that we really are excited to start doing more is reading just the comments in the chat in general during the discussion. And if we see anything that resonates with us, or it's a point we're not talking about and we catch it, we want to read it out loud, regardless of it being a super chat or not. We want this to be an interactive discussion, a hanging out thing, because that's what we did with quarantine, right? We were hanging out with everybody during a time when everybody's stuck at home. And I know a lot of people still are, but it was a moment. That hour of the day we're spending time with you. Well, we want to keep that interaction going with everybody. So we're going to be reading the chat as we have discussions on various things going on. And if we see anything that we're like, oh, that's a great point, we'll bring it up, give you a hat tip for it, just so you guys can feel even more involved in the discussion with us. And then the final half hour of the show it'll be from 2:30. What would that be?
Yeah, 2:33.
Yeah, 2:30 to 3. I have to speak in Eastern when I'm not Eastern. We're going to read through the super chats. We're just going to go through them. So if you have any particular questions and stuff that you would like our opinions on, and you want to do that, take it there. Make sure you format in a way so we can understand it, what you're trying to ask us, or if you just have a point you want to make, go for it, or whatever you want to do. But we want to kind of separate those times so we can focus on the conversation itself. But we still want to make sure that we get to everybody that's supporting this channel.
Yeah. And I mean, continue to feel free to throw them out throughout the broadcast. We're just going to focus on them all at, that particular time. I think it's going to give us a lot more of an opportunity to have an uninterrupted conversation throughout the first hour, and then in the in the last half hour, we can focus solely on that type of interaction. So Methods, he'll be keeping an eye on the chat specifically. I'll be doing what I can. It's a little bit difficult for me to be watching the chat specifically because I'm doing all the production. But, continue to keep the conversation going in the chat. Let's get as many ideas out there as we possibly can. And we can have an interactive show every single Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah, very excited about it, man. And I'm seeing some people are enjoying that idea here in the chat. I also know that this is a perfect time to start a chat interactive show when YouTube chat is having a problem.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I could personally see a lot of the chat happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just be doing the best we can with it. And especially if I'm able to see it, let's say that if you're on a phone, I heard a lot of things about iPhones having that problem. I don't have an iPhone. But I'll be able to see a lot of them and bring them out to the show. So maybe it'll work in our benefit.
Okay. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys giving us the updates on the number of people here and the number of likes, too, because I haven't really addressed this yet because I only kind of just figured it out, but the platform has slowly made it impossible for me to use any browser except for Chrome when I'm streaming. It's gotten more and more difficult with like Safari or with Firefox. They're just not working anymore. And even with Chrome, it's not working 100%. My information gets stuck. I'm showing 1,800 viewers and 780 likes, but I just saw somebody say 2.1 thousand and 913 likes. So, and now we see 2223 and 970. So, I mean, every time I refresh the screen to give me an accurate update, I have to replace the chat out here on the home screen. Now, here's actually something that I would like to ask you guys, and I want to get a vote. On every single app that you guys can watch the show on, there is a chat that's available to you in the app, whether it's on your phone, your tablet, your computer, or on like a TV box, like a Roku or an Apple TV, or probably like whatever the Amazon stick is. So I feel like it shouldn't be necessary to have the chat on the screen anymore. But I've been told by several people that they really like being able to see the chat on the screen. So I will go ahead and slow the chat, honey. But I'd like to get a vote in the chat. Give me a 1 if you want me to keep the chat on my screen as part of the broadcast. Or give me a 2 if you're okay with just watching the chat on your own application. Because it would give us a little bit better look here, I think. And already people are saying 1. Yeah.
I'm also seeing this comment from Diane Oman. I don't want to say your name. I'll probably have a lot of problems saying names at times. So I go ahead and ask for forgiveness from the audience. But Diane says, I am forced to refresh the chat every 10 seconds. So I wonder if you're having to refresh the stream itself, that could be messing with the watching numbers as well. Like I said, I don't typically watch on my phone. But I do see the numbers kind of stick at times for 10 minutes and then things jump around.
You know what? I'm seeing a lot more 2s than 1, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and remove the chat. And there we go. We get a bigger screen for me and Methods now. Yeah, still looks good. Still looks good. Okay, so yeah. So hopefully everybody is able to handle the chat on their own. It's also going to make it so that I'm not as distracted because it's like, that chat like right there scrolling by my eye. I'm constantly looking to take a look at it and see what's being said. But this is nice. This is nice. There we go.
I also see somebody in the chat, Beverly D says, make sure at the top of the chat says live and not top chat.
Yeah.
I forget to do that all the time.
Yeah.
And then I'll switch it over and I'm missing a lot of the conversation. So that could be a thing as well. But like you were saying, and we mentioned it before because we had a little bit more people show up here, we're going to be taking care of all the super chats. We'll get to every single one in the final half hour of the show. We're going to keep the discussion going. We'll also be reading through the chat, hanging out with everybody. And I guess I'll go ahead and say this real quick, Red Pill, before we get into the stuff that we wanted to talk about today. I know that we've mentioned a lot, and thank you to the to everybody that's been sharing the links and stuff to the PayPal and stuff. I was looking in the market to get a new computer, the stuff that I'm using now isn't able to do what I'm trying to do here in the future. And that, even though I love the Monday through Friday show that we were doing, moving this to just Tuesdays and Thursdays is going to give me more time to do some things I want to do on my channel and stuff like that. But with that said, the computer system I had could not reach that kind of strength and stuff to do the kind of things I wanted to do. Well, I'd like to, first off, thank everybody who hit me up on PayPal. I really appreciate it. We do all this stuff for free. But at the end of the day, we do have people reach out saying they want to support the work we do. So I want to thank everybody for that. And I'm glad to announce today that yesterday I was able to order the computer that's going to be able to do everything I want to do. With your help, I was able to match with it and stuff and order what I wanted. And I'm going to have that. Now it's going to take a while to get to me with everything going on. But once I get that going and get things set in place, I plan on doing things also on top of what we're doing here. So once again, thank you guys for that. It means the world to me. And you're investing in me and I want to give back. So I'm looking forward to that too.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's awesome that you're able to finally get that off the ground. I, for one, am looking forward to seeing what you start putting out. And I'm going to suggest that everybody go find Methods on YouTube and get subscribed to him so that by the time that he does start putting out videos, you guys will already be there, already be subscribed. And also, I want to mention that I've got 2 backup channels in the description of this video. There's only like 14,000 of you that are subscribed. So if anybody out there wouldn't mind subscribing to those channels, then you can bet that I'm going to be publishing there if anything does happen on this channel. I've also got the BitChute set up. I didn't have a chance to put that in, but there's only one Red Pill 78 on BitChute. There is, or there should be rather soon, a video that was recently deleted from here, which is going to be available on there. And then for anybody on Patreon or a Subscribestar, I put the link there as well. So I'm not going to say the name of the video out loud because it was rather controversial, but you guys know what I'm talking about. There's only been one video recently that's been deleted, so go ahead and check that out and get back to me and let me know what you think.
And real quick, Blast Him Duke out there said, where can we go to support Methods on that fund? The link is in the description below of every video we do. Red Pill did that on his own, and it was just really nice of him to do, and the mods are sharing it. They share it throughout the chat, man, but it's not necessary. I appreciate the support. Everything that we do will always be free.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, I brought up the Joe Scarborough stuff at the beginning of the hour, and there's a specific reason that I brought it up, because President Trump has been hammering it as of late, and he put out a tweet earlier today, just around 9 a.m. He said that the opening of a cold case against Joe was not a Donald Trump original thought. This has been ongoing for years, long before I joined the chorus. In 2016, when Joe and his wacky future ex-wife, Mika, would endlessly interview me, I would always be thinking about whether or not Joe could have done such a horrible thing. Maybe or maybe not. But I find Joe to be a total nutjob, and I knew him well, far better than most. So many unanswered and obvious questions, but I won't bring them up now. Law enforcement eventually will. So this is basically the promise of what I said the other day coming true. I can't believe that President Trump would be willing to put this information out there and repeatedly hammer it home, because if it's not true, he's opening himself up to a libel suit. All right. Now, that could be a lot of money that President Trump would have to pay out. But the only option in my mind, if Joe and Mika are not willing to take him to court over this, the reason is because they would have to essentially go in there and prove that Joe Scarborough had nothing to do with this. And if there is an open cold case against Joe Scarborough, then that very well could trigger just a complete renewal of the investigation, a public renewal of the investigation. And then he would have to be worrying about court cases on 2 fronts, both a criminal and a civil case. And he would look to possibly lose both.
Right. And just real quick to the point, I see a lot of people in the chat asking about my YouTube channel. I don't have any videos on it yet, but I am dropping the link aggressively in the chat right now, so you guys have it, and I guess we'll maybe add it to the bio of the future videos and stuff so people can have that. But to that point, a couple things, and I know our favorite Anons brought it up, but we can also just look at history and say anything Trump brings up does he say anything that doesn't come true or lead to something that is true
Mm-hmm.
that he's hinting at and stuff like that? So, and also there's another point I've seen flowing around that, this would be a dangerous move if there wasn't anything and Trump is just speculating, during the election year, because what has came out today that the widower of the intern is calling for Trump's Twitter account to get taken down.
Right.
And so to me, it's very telling that they're going after the mouthpiece of the information, not defending necessarily the information being wrong or whatever. So I find it very telling that Trump is doing this. That means that there's something to it. And the fact that he was talking about it, and then we randomly get the cold case of FOIA drop, and he's been talking about this for a few weeks now, right?
Yeah.
And then now we get the FOIA coming out. It's very interesting that, Trump knows something and has known it, because he won't. Like, I've even seen Republicans asking him to stop talking about it because it's dangerous for the election year, and he just keeps going. So there is something to it, and I'm going to drop the link from our buddy Mike Bravo that has the information, the PDF of that cold case file.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to know who actually filed this FOIA request. Who sought this information out?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd be curious about that. Mike was the first one that I saw, talk about it, and he's been on top of it. So shout out to Mike. Give him a follow. He's definitely good on Twitter. He works really, really hard.
Yeah, Mike is a great guy. So, I'm looking at the PDF right here, and, it's pretty dry. It's in all caps. It's, just a description. Okay, so the injury to the back of the head, Now, if somebody passes out, wouldn't you expect them to, fall forward? If you're standing up, I suppose falling backwards, it could happen, but if I see somebody walking around an office, I'm trying to determine exactly where in the office it was.
It feels to me just like the Epstein bunk bed story. It's like, really? I can't really buy it, because it's in the top of the skull, top right of the skull.
Oh,
which
is it?
would be,
okay.
Yeah, that's what it was saying. That's what I got from a little bit that I was reading.
Yeah.
So that to me would be like how with all the memes are talking about blunt force trauma, blunt force attack. So I'm not necessarily buying it. And how about we go ahead and ask the chat? What do you guys think? I know a lot of us already assume so, but the idea that, do you think that Joe did it? Do you think that it was a cover up? Do you think that she found information that was going on and they were trying to pay her? Because I'm seeing discussions in chatter. I don't have any sauce to bring at the moment, so feel free to debunk it. I'm seeing chatter and stuff that she had a salary offer recently during that time. Was the salary not enough? Was it considered a bribe? But I'm very interested to see. Was there more to this story? I know Anons are digging into her husband because the husband's now actively calling for Trump's Twitter to get taken down. I don't even know if he was asking for an apology. They wanted to just keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious about that. And also, Lizard P brought this out. It's an interesting thought that this was months before Never Forget Day happened. So wondering if there was some information that she figured out during that stuff because of the military connection and all of that. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that rather than looking at information, they want to immediately jump to censorship. If this was something that had no meat, you would expect that the very first thing somebody like Joe Scarborough would do would be to file a suit against President Trump. He's been so vocal about it. It's been all over Twitter. The information is, it's nothing new, but the revelation of President Trump talking about it is what's new. And if Joe Scarborough had nothing to hide, then he would immediately be out there trying to sue President Trump. They wouldn't be calling for the deletion of his Twitter, and they wouldn't be calling for him to be censored from being able to speak out. And the fact that President Trump said that he's not the one who brought it up, he's not the one who thought of this first. there is a case against Joe Scarborough, and I bet it's just a matter of time until we finally see it come out.
Right. And real quick, Jacob Jones said in the chat, which is an interesting theory that I haven't heard, was thinking it was a club initiation. Like, you know how that goes. You have to kind of show your worth to kind of work your way up, because think about how he's worked his way up in the mainstream media ranks. You know, the connections with Mika and her family and all that stuff, kind of looking at her as a handler. That's an interesting theory. I'm not sure about that. Sometimes when I hear these club initiation ideas, some of them don't hold water to me, but I've seen enough of it to make me, you know, have pause about it. So that's an interesting theory, Jacob.
Somebody said they couldn't find me on BitChute, and I just went to go search for myself, and you're right. I can't find myself either.
Yeah, you don't exist on BitChute.
Yeah,
I guess.
I'm gonna go ahead and try to log in and then share my my channel, because all of my videos, I guess they are getting uploaded there automatically. I didn't think it was happening. Maybe it just took a long time for it to happen. All right, I'm in. Now let me go to my channel. There we go. So, yeah, all right, here we go, guys. Dropping this in the chat. So if you guys want to, you can go ahead and follow me on BitChute. But
right. Yeah, and people in the chat are talking about it. Yeah, he was interviewed, and they brought it up casually and laughed it off like it was. Which, I mean, even if he was able to prove that it wasn't him, you know, and all that, you're laughing about the death of somebody that worked for you. You know,
yeah.
that's just dark enough as it is.
I mean, I can't imagine having that cold callousness to joke about the death of somebody like that. I mean, she worked for him. They worked together. They must have had a close relationship. I mean, you just don't work with somebody on a daily basis, especially on like a congressional campaign. I mean, those people that volunteer their time, and then, you know, people who have paid positions within a congressional office, they are deeply, deeply invested in what's going on there. You know, so I can't imagine anybody having the that type of personality to just joke around and say that they went ahead and did this. I mean, clearly Joe thought for a long time that he was untouchable. I mean, he thought that all of this went away, and you know, he had his friend, the medical examiner, Dr. Michael Berkland. Yeah, Dr. Michael Berkland. He kind of made it all go away. And then once it turns out that he's got some strange things happening with himself and his own career, obviously it's causing people to look at it and ask questions, you know, like, well, you know, what kind of guy is this?
Real quick on this point, this is great. Occam's razor, you know, example right here. Dave McHugh in the chat says, if Joe didn't do it, he knows who did. Mm-hmm. You know, that would be a reasonable way to look at it. Great point, Dave.
Now, I wonder if Joe and Mika knew each other at the time of Lori's death. I don't think so. I think that Joe was married to another woman at that time. And I'm sure that we can find that out. But so this stuff about Michael Berkland, he got into trouble for stashing organs in food containers in a storage unit. For like 10 years, he was stashing people's organs. More than 100 people. Soda cups, Tupperware, tissue samples, 10 brains. Very, very strange thing to do. Keeping them preserved in formaldehyde so that he could just go back and look at them, I guess. I mean,
that's some Jack the Ripper stuff right there, man. Yeah. And I know we're kind of laughing it off, but I'm dropping the link to that Daily Mail article in the chat for you guys to have it, because there is context. We're being called here with Trump pointing this out, that we're having to go back in time and understand these things. Like, yeah, did he know Mika back then? I don't know that off the top of my head. Since this is getting brought up and we got the FOIA coming out, I'm going to dig more into this to understand that time and place. But yeah, I mean, the fact that this is the guy that they were the go-to for this situation. And I've been talking to people who lived in there at the time, and they said, like, publicly, people just were really confused about the story they were being told.
And this is also not the first time that he's gotten into trouble. Back in 1996, He was fired as a medical examiner in Jackson County, Missouri, due to a dispute over autopsy reports that he was filing. So he's had a history of questionable practices when it comes to the autopsies and the reports that he's been doing. And then most recently, he got in trouble for driving on a suspended license. And I believe that he did lose his license to practice altogether. He's not able to do this anymore.
It sounds like a fixing type guy. Like you bring him in to be, to get that autopsy report. Because they'd have to have them to cover up corruption and stuff like that.
All right. So we also have some disturbing information coming out about the person who made the Q Alerts app. Obviously, we just had several alert apps removed from the Google Play Store. They had previously been removed from the Apple App Store. Well, now the credit card processor that the person who made the Alerts app uses for a completely separate business. It's a corporation, but the corporation was the owner of the Alerts app. That credit card processor has canceled their relationship with this individual, essentially making it impossible for them to take payments for their main business. They're doing everything they can to bankrupt these people, anybody who has anything to do with this stuff, trying to bankrupt them, trying to destroy them, make it so that they can't participate in this type of research. It's a terrible, terrible thing.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing that we talk about here, making things difficult for us, not having your notifications for your show show up on people's phones. Or people say to me all the time, I don't get notifications for your Twitter anymore. It's been a month or it's been a few weeks. And I can notice that trend, too, on how quickly things will go out. And then sometimes it takes a minute for people to see the stuff, which is fine. I don't live my life based off of likes and retweets. I just want the information out there, or I'm just putting my thoughts out there. We'll just have a discussion about it on the internet. But I'm dropping that tweet specifically to that Twitter account. And one of the best ways that we could counteract this is go out there, follow and support. Let them know, that you're not happy about it. Go tag these companies and make noise about it. We defend our own. And they're trying to create an app for you to be able to know the information when you're working on other things. You have your phone goes off, you get to look at it like a text message. It's very important to have that ability, especially when you're trying to, when your life is busy and you got a lot going on. It's good to have it right there in your pocket. So by all means, go show some support. Let them know Red Pill Method sent you. Just go flood them with follows, and you know how we do here. That'd be really, really cool to see. Give them some support, because that's just petty. It's absolutely petty for them to be doing the things that they're doing. I mean, we even had to discuss in naming this show. We had to mark off ideas because we knew that they would censor it. So to me, this is the part of the battle. It's not going to get easier until something's done legislation wise in my eyes. But yeah, no, definitely support our own.
It's the most important thing we can do, because we're clearly not going to be getting the support from anywhere else. It's only because of you guys that we're even able to be here. And it's through this. We mentioned about echo chambers over the weekend. I mean, in a way, the movement itself is an echo chamber for relevant information, because we've taken over the role of dissemination of information. Now, I'm using it in a different way maybe than we did over the weekend, but it's important for us to be the arbiters of information with each other, to help the information get out, to make sure that things that would otherwise be swept under the rug are not going to be pushed aside and completely forgotten about. This has thrown a big monkey wrench into the system that has existed for such a long time, because with the 6 or so media companies or corporations that own all of the media companies in the United States, they've honed the dissemination of information and the things that they think are important, or the things that they don't want us to talk about. They've just kept it into this nice, neat little box. And with us out here broadcasting our own information, talking about what we feel is important, it is overshadowing the fake news BS that is being pumped out by those corporations. And when something like this happens, it's important for us to talk about it because this isn't fair. I mean, this is America. We should be able to talk about what we want to talk about within reason. I mean, obviously, in my mind, there's a line. There are things that I don't want to talk about or that I just don't feel I need to talk about. But I think that other people should have the ability to go ahead and discuss what they want. I mean, if these giant corporations that own and operate everything have the ability to discuss whatever they want, then us as individuals should also have the ability to do that as well. And we should be able to share these things with each other. So by showing the support for people like the people who own the Alerts app, we help get this message out and we help put a spotlight on it. And perhaps something's going to be done in that, or maybe he'll find a different credit card processor, I mean, maybe this wasn't the one that was giving him the best deal. There has to be a patriot out there who will allow for business to continue for these people, because without the credit card processing, I mean, I know that's going to be a major dent in whatever it is they do.
Right. I mean, they went through that with trying to get Acorn off the ground, right? Yeah. They originally got deplatformed, under the name 8chan, and going into the Acorn thing, they had a lot of problems going through that, and they had to find a patriot, service that would help them do that, believed in the cause of the free speech. And to anybody who didn't catch Comfy Sunday this past week, we had on Jim Watkins, who owns 8kun, and the conversation was fascinating. He's a great guy, very, very entertaining, but he was dropping information that was just intense. Like what he said, like how many visits per day were there to 8kun?
I mean, I thought it was over 1 million. I mean,
he said
millions.
He said it was like averaging like 1 million a day. Mm-hmm. And then another thing that's interesting for anybody that spends times on the boards, he also said this, that for we have the people who post and then what we call lurkers. The ones that just go there to read the information, watch the banter, grab stuff to take it to other places or piece their research together. He said it was like 1% of the people that were on the boards were posting, and 99% were lurkers based on the information. And that even took me back. I didn't think that it would be that much. But the idea of having that many people hanging out there, of course, they wanted to deplatform, because ultimately of course, they're trying to shadow the conversation. But if you notice from what they're doing with this Kung Flu stuff, is that they want you divided. They're literally dividing us from being around each other. Mm-hmm. And they're metaphorically covering your mouth, not wanting you to talk. Mm-hmm. That kind of world, they don't want the discussion anyways. And that's why, like Red Pill and I, we don't like to police people on what to talk about and not talk about. Talk about whatever you want. It just might not be something I'm into talking about, or I'd necessarily personally want to debate, but I don't want to ever tell people, you can't talk about this, or no, that's wrong, that kind of thing. But the opportunity being there is worth its weight in gold. That's why I support it entirely. So when they're coming after and silencing people and shadow banning, taking down accounts, educating liberals getting taken down for speaking his mind
multiple times,
right? To me, is ultimately what they're going after. There's always going to be information they don't want out there, but they definitely don't want us growing as a community and realizing how much that we don't need them. We don't need the media. We could talk to ourselves. We could spread the information. This movement could definitely prove that.
My mom in the chat is asking for prayers for her friend's daughter, Layla. Apparently she has a rare blood disorder and desperately needs a bone marrow transplant, so definitely keep her in your prayers. I'm sorry to hear that, Mom.
That's very sad. It's very sad to hear, man. We'll definitely be praying.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised as well that 99% of the people lurk. I did not think it was going to be that many people. But, I mean, honestly, that's how I feel that it should be. I mean, I think the boards should be reserved for the absolute cream of the crop in terms of research stuff. If the board itself becomes just like Twitter, like people, just giving status updates and stuff, then it will be meaningless. Do you know what I mean?
Right. And I totally agree. And I'm reading in the chat, there's multiple people talking about, using other platforms. And I know Bongino tweeted about the censorship happening, and they're just removing, people's like verified statuses for covering certain things that are actually truthful. And he pointed out for people to go to Parler. I'm not against that. I know we don't talk about, go to WeGo or MeWe or Gab, Parler and all that. That's fine. Go where you want to do that. It's just personally myself, and because I became I came through using Twitter to where everybody could know who Methods was. That's where I like to work because, like I've said before, it's the biggest battleground to me. It's like right at the middle, and Trump's there, and we got to support and work and all that stuff. So that's personally where I like to do it until they, knock on wood, they take my account down, which still blows my mind that I'm still up. But to me, I will always fight there, but there will be, they keep going this route. There will be a big shift. And I think personally, like, imagine Trump switching to Gab and just not using Twitter anymore.
Oh, it'd be a revolution.
Right? The Gab would have to already know ahead of time, because the overflow of people moving over to Gab that quickly to see what Trump is doing.
It destroy the platform.
Right. But yeah, I mean, to me, that's just my personal journey. But for anybody else, I mean, I fully support you going to those other ones. I just don't personally have the time to go hop around and post on all of them. So I just stick to what I know, old dog, new tricks type stuff.
Yeah. Well, we also wanted to talk about this letter that D&I Grinnell wrote to the Honorable Mark Warner. I think that term is used loosely. But he wrote this letter and he CC'd Rubio too. Probably Rubio's on the same committee, but it is in response to Warner's letter regarding the declassification of the names of the unmaskers and stuff. And Warner made this contention that by exposing the names of those who did the unmasking, the DNI was exposing sources and methods. And that's just not true. I mean, there's no logic in that argument. How in the world would exposing the names of the people who exposed American citizens' information in this these wiretap materials, how would that expose sources and methods? You're not exposing anything other than just the name of somebody who unredacted a name. So D&I Grinnell, or acting D&I Grinnell, really lays into him. He said, as you well know, the decision to declassify the names of individuals who sought to unmask the identity of General Flynn poses absolutely no risk of compromise of either sources or methods. And as far for undermining the credibility of the intelligence community, the unmasking, or this information, ensures the IC will not conceal potential abuse behind unnecessary security classification. So, I think that right there points to exactly what Mark Warner doesn't want to happen. He wants to maintain the ability to abuse the tools of the intelligence community. Now, by pointing out that all of these people who don't necessarily need to be unmasking American citizens' names have the ability to do so, the only thing it puts at risk is the corruption inherent into the existing system.
Right. I mean, they want to, take the blindfold off Lady Justice and have it be biased. That to me is the biggest takeaway from here. And I'm so glad. And I've been dropping a tweet with this letter in the chat for you guys, because it's definitely like, I love Ratcliffe. Don't get me wrong. He's sworn in today. I guess it's already happened by now. I know we were doing the pre-show, but this is day one of D&I Ratcliffe, which we already know that him doing this job is just going to be incredible. But Grinnell, I didn't know him. I didn't know him at all when he was announced in this stuff. I didn't know any of his history or whatever. But when you read these letters, it's like so professional and so savage at the same time. And he stepped down. He's not going to do the ambassador job. So what is he going to do next? And I really hope he sticks in some kind of job like this. But yeah, this letter lets him know. It's like, why do you want to be selective about declassifying things? Like, that's the biggest takeaway from this.
Also, it looks like Warner had kind of, he'd been rude to Grinnell. They had a call set up. Warner dissed him and then ignored requests for Grinnell to speak with him privately still. So by him releasing this letter, by him calling Warner out in the public square, he's really got his boot up this guy's rear end.
Right. And that's the problem that they're going to have, because I think Ratcliffe's going to be the same way. Like we told everybody before, go back and watch him during hearings when you know it's a slanted Democrat-led hearing, but he happens to be there asking the questions. Just watch how he handles things. He's going to be a lot like Grinnell. He just wants things to just, declassify what's necessary for the truth to be out to all of us. So it's definitely very exciting. Well, I guess I have to choose a new time when I bring up how many people we have watching and likes and whatnot. So we'll do it halfway during the show. So yeah, we've got over 3,700 people hanging out with us. I saw a lot of people in the chat saying they didn't get the notification, or they forgot that the show was starting a half hour earlier. Well, hopefully that'll come back around and people realize we're doing something new and make it a part of your schedule. But 1.9 thousand likes, if you guys don't mind clicking that like button, and we appreciate everybody hitting us up on PayPal and everything else.
Also, just put it in your calendar. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to continue to do this show. So once you get used to the idea of that new time schedule, I'm sure that people will remember to get here on time.
And also on that point real quick, because we had talked about this, like, yeah, we're going to be doing the show. We want to keep it permanent. It's not based on anything going on in the world. We just want to do a show together, and we realized we could do 2 days a week on top of Comfy Sunday and it not be overbearing, especially with Red Pill and the amount of work that you're doing. It always baffles me. But we really do need you guys' help. And I see a lot of people share this stuff on Twitter. I was seeing it happen when we announced the show link for today, and we really appreciate that. We need you guys to help us with this marketing. If you guys don't mind letting people know, hey, they've got the show, they just want to casually chat with people, cover a few topics, just share it in different places. We really, really do appreciate it. And clicking that like button definitely makes it show up in search engines better. So yeah, thank you guys in advance for that.
Yeah, I appreciate the help, guys, most definitely. Well, there's also a new attack against our favorite Anon, and this one is very interesting.
It's so backwards. And real quick, Sipping on 17 says, say times again. It's 1:30 p.m. Eastern, Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. It'll be on this channel. We'll make sure you'll know ahead of time if something comes up, but we plan to be doing this until, forever, until Trump's third term cough, which would be fun, but it is what it is. But yeah, 1:30 p.m. Eastern and all that. But yeah, man, go ahead. There's a new hit job coming after this movement that even made both of us kind of laugh about it.
Yeah, I can't believe it. So who is this guy? Joe Carter. He's the executive pastor of McLean Bible Church in Arlington, Virginia. What is Arlington the home of? This is the home of the clowns in America. So I wouldn't be surprised, especially calling back to that document that we had released last week, or that was brought up by our favorite Anon, about the use of media and religious leaders by the clowns in America. They're calling this movement a satanic movement, which is infiltrating churches. And he put out this frequently asked questions in regard to the 17th letter of the alphabet, calling out an article in The Atlantic, which was released last week, calling it a cult. And it is, honestly, it just reeks of fear and propaganda, trying to say that this movement has anything to do with Satanism. Absolutely, completely ridiculous. I've never, honestly, in my wildest dreams, thought that this would be a tactic they would go with. But if they've got enough pastors in their back pockets, I mean, considering the basis in Judeo-Christian beliefs, we'll go ahead and say, in this movement. I mean, we're talking about spirituality, morality, obviously doing the right thing. I mean, we've got some good values going on here in this movement that we have. And so they're trying to take it and twist it. And I bet you they're going to start preaching about this from the pulpit. They're going to be up there, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have like a public denouncement of this stuff by, maybe they're even going to have a group of pastors who come together, to sign the pledge, I will not allow this movement in my congregation. Absolutely ridiculous.
Right. And to me, at least to their credit in this article that they have out there, they have actual quotes from Q Post in it. So that's pretty funny to me that they do it. The mainstream media won't do it. But yeah, we can't kid ourselves in this with this when we talk about the infiltration, not invasion, and just them having their tentacles and everything. And then also think about our favorite Anon saying, those who you trust the most. Ministers, preachers, and all that were brought up in that conversation, and I agree with it. We can't kid ourselves that there would be some leaders of these churches, and I'm not calling them all. We're in a testy area. I'm not going to call out certain churches because, God forbid somebody go to that church, be here right now. But basically, there would be the corrupt stuff. And I have personal experience with this very topic. I know that we didn't plan on talking about this. We only got a little bit more time. So I'll just kind of keep it, brief. I watched the replacement of my father being a preacher. I know a lot of people who listen know that I'm a preacher's kid. They basically infiltrated in with their own people, and they put certain people, because they get on deacon boards, and then that person works their way up and then suggests another person. We're supposed to be able to trust in church, so you're taking these endorsements at their word, and they work their way up enough to where they have a little bit more control. And then they did a full-blown hit job against my father that wasn't true. I knew it then, even when I was young, and they took it as far as they could, and then had him manipulated to the point that if he fought it, it would split the church. So he ended up, resigning over this because of this hit job. And then I went back a few years later, just for, nostalgia or whatever. And I wanted to meet the new pastor because I was like, okay, I want to meet this guy. I want to know who's running this thing that my father had built. And I just felt like I was shaking hands with a snake. I did research into him and the connections and stuff. He's relatives with people that are a part of that denomination. It was all snaky. And then I heard from people who went there, they said, I can't go talk anymore. It's all fluff piece stuff. There's not real teachings happening. And then the church ultimately, I think, fell apart as I understand it. So that's just my quick story on it, Red Bill.
And you think about why these people are willing to do this. And the simplest answer is that they don't want to lose power. They must see people waking up and thinking about things critically and understanding the way the world works as an existential threat to their ability to hold on to that power and continue to make money. And I've said before, I have a background in nonprofits. Churches have a 501c3 nonprofit designation. When you have that designation, you have a lot of leeway on how you can move money around and how you can take in that money and then spend it. So this, especially being in Arlington, Virginia, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of money going through that area. You've got some wealthy people in that area. And when you look at, all of these different political organizations, I mean, many of them, the non-governmental organizations, you think about Open Society Initiative, stuff like that, they also have nonprofit designations. And when people stop trusting those things, stop giving their money, that is the death knell for something like that. So in order to keep their power, and then, they use that projection narrative again, telling other people, that these people are what we are. And I'd be very interested to see a dig on that particular church and that pastor.
Right. And I mean, it's something too. We're not saying go accuse everybody in the churches that you don't like and stuff, but we're an army of researchers. It's good to, look in backgrounds and stuff and see what they've done just to, keep everybody honest, just do it legally and stuff like that. Yeah. And Allie B, friend of the channel, brought up, she says, I've been through a few church splits myself. They could be most savage of all. Yeah, they can. They absolutely can. Because then you start attacking people that you're supposed to be fellowshipping with, and it takes away from it. That plays into the whole point of them not wanting churches to show up, but you can go to Walmart, fine, or go to liquor stores, fine. And they're still battling this stuff to where they want. What was it, Newsom that said they only want churches at 25% capacity?
25% capacity and no singing.
Yeah. Okay. So no. Through worship, singing. Think about how we like to talk on this channel about the battle between good and evil, and think about what's happening. So we can't have this. They're trying to stop a spiritual awakening through fellowship and community during the election year, when a lot of us in this movement can agree that God intervened in this the 2016 election. Our voices were heard, and that's why us connecting through these things like this channel or your other platforms and other great channels on here on YouTube, that's even more important, because we have to stay connected in such that way, because they are trying to keep us down during the most important year so far for all of us, right? This is the biggest year of this movement's short life, is this one. And that's why it's very important. So you can kind of see why these certain moves are made, because this has to do with evil and, versus good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to show you guys this video too. There was this woman in Central Park. She was walking her dog without a leash, and a concerned citizen, first of all, it's like a law in New York. You have to walk your dog on a leash. And let's just be honest, anybody who has a dog, it's just good business. You never know when a dog is going to go after somebody or go after another dog, or when somebody else's dog is going to come after your dog. So it's a rule for a reason, okay? Because there's thought behind it. It's not just that they're trying to take the freedoms of the dog away or something like that. Dogs will chase after things. Dogs will go after squirrels. Dogs might go after a little kid. I'm sure that everybody here has heard at least one horror story. You still there?
We even know of dogs fighting under people's desks during live streams.
That's right. Hashtag Muffingate. You guys want to hear a funny story, actually? When I put a video, like when I'm making the video, hashtag Muffingate is suggested to me as a tag to put them. I didn't even do it. Okay. It's just that enough people were searching for Muffingate that now the algorithm is telling me to put that on the videos.
I've seen more than one Muffingate memes that are hilarious. Definitely good. Just real quick, Ron John in the chat on reference to the church stuff says, psychopaths do that. I've seen what you're saying happen in churches. Sometimes biggest liars, gaslighters get power in churches. It happens. It happens, but it's also, in turn, there are a lot of great churches out there that are still, spirit filled and doing what it's meant to be.
So this woman, this guy who is a concerned citizen, he had his camera pulled out. I'm going to turn the sound off, but he pulls his camera out and he's trying to film her because she's freaking out. She comes up and she demands that he stop filming her. And then look at her, the way she's carrying that dog. First of all, put the leash on the dog. You're choking the dog. All right. This is not okay. That
video makes me sick, and I see it everywhere, and I'm already over it because of how. So I'm so glad. I'm sure you're about to say what happens next. So but it's a mess.
So she demands that he stop filming, and then she says she's going to call the police and make reference to his ethnicity and say that he is trying to attack her. Well, it's a good thing he got it on camera, because clearly she's lying, and the way she's treating her dog is just reprehensible. So a lot of people were sharing this. This is all over the place. The dog is not interested in having her. Look, he doesn't want her to be holding on to him like this. And the dog was taken away, which is good news. The dog's been taken to a shelter. I'm sure that there is going to be another family that will be able to care for and love this dog. And I don't know what's going to happen with her. Do you know methods if she actually put a police report together? I mean, can they go after her for filing a false report maybe?
I don't know if I still have the tab of how it played out, but what I do know for sure is that I forget the words that they used, but she willingly handed over the dog. So everybody in the chat, I was reading it too, and I couldn't even look at my screen when you were playing it, Red Pill, but I get it. We got to cover certain things. That lady, because of that video and how she handled it. Now, what I also saw is the dude filming it. No problem. Nothing happened to him from what I know. But big takeaway is that dog is not with that woman anymore. And that to me is the victory throughout all that, because it's just terrible to see. I mean, it's a mess. I know we have a lot of people in this movement that have pets, love their pets. They love seeing your pets on screen. So to have at least that there is a bittersweet thing that because of this incident, because how was if she did that then, she did it so casually. It must have been, how much did she do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the typical liberal mindset, like attack, and she's not even worried about anything else, okay? All she's worried about is trying to destroy this guy who's calling her out on her mistakes, okay? All you have to do is she's holding the leash. She's holding the leash in one hand, and then she's got the dog up like this in the other. That dog was being choked, okay? All she had to do was put the leash on and agree to follow the rules. All right. He's just trying to hold her accountable. It's a public area. There's nothing wrong with filming in a public area like that. All right. Well, guys, it's 2:30 now, so we're going to go ahead and go through the super chats. If you guys have anything else that you want to add or anything that you want to ask us or have us talk about, this is your opportunity.
Yeah, and click that like button real quick for us, please.
Please.
That'd be great.
BM has joined as a member. Thank you, BM. Ursula1111 says, nice. Love the new name and graphics. I'd love your help. Created a Dropbox link with that who, what is our favorite Anon resources to ease the red pill. Sent my pinned tweet to you both on Twitter DM. Thank you. Yeah, I'll be happy to share that. I'll go check it out.
Yeah, I got the notification too, Ursula. We were in pre-show, so I'm on to definitely read that after the show.
Yeah. EO2 Dave says that the Michigan governor has declared I don't even know if I can say this, a club for people who like to, I guess, dominate other people with with holes that are meant for services from other people at the club as an essential service. I personally, I mean, like, I'm very libertarian in my views and what people want to do. If you want to go do your own thing, as long as it doesn't hurt other people, that's fine. But in what on God's green earth could possibly make this a rational choice for an essential service? If we're being told to isolate, if we're being told to maintain a 6-foot distance, I don't see how this could possibly have slipped through the cracks. Now, I did want to mention about Gretchen Whitmer. Remember that story I told about her husband demanding that the boat be released from the dock? And they couldn't get to it because they were 3 weeks behind on everything. Well, they're catching some heat about that. I mean, that's being reported now nationally on Fox. So, I mean, it just goes back to the hypocrisy of these people and how ridiculous they are. Big Dog Killer says there's proof Joe Biden to clone. He said he can beat Biden. That's right. Joe Biden said that he could beat himself. So was he talking about his clone? That's funny. Gaffer Anon says, for the Summer Flannel Fund, thank you very much, Gaffer. I need to get some short sleeve plaid shirts. I don't have enough of them. Lower Norwood says, happy to be here for a new beginning. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you very much, everybody so far. Nana for Children says, would like to see happy things with citizens. God says to spread love. Frequencies are important. And this kind of goes back to the point that I was trying to make yesterday on Comfy Sunday. The way that I act and the way that I try to bring information across. I'm not a Debbie Downer. I believe that the energy that I put out, for lack of a better word, is going to be the energy that I get back in return. I mean, I believe that what I do is going to, I'm going to be rewarded with that, returning to me.
Right. And just to that point, that's like we were talking about on Comfy Sunday. Not everybody's going to have the same types of personalities or like have that kind of energy and stuff. Everybody's different, but we do kind of gravitate to like similar personalities. And Red Pill and I clicked early on. We both realized like we like to look at things in a positive light. We like to enjoy life. We like doing these things. So, but that's why we appreciate the variety of shows and just different takes and opinions and spins and stuff, or like the way people look at things. We appreciate that those are all available, and that's why we don't ever like to talk down any other channel. We just feel this way, and we just want to experience, this journey with everybody.
Yeah. Let's see. Terry says the mechanism of injury is suspect. See comment. That's what we were talking about earlier with that intern. Very suspect. And I just, I find it difficult. I mean, I've fallen and hit my head on, a variety of things. I've never been unable to get up and live my life afterwards. John Asturias says, this is why our favorite Anon stated these people are sick. There's a whole plethora of reasons why they're sick. Hey Jude says, I'm late. Twatter turned off my notifications. Well, hey Jude, glad you made it. And she says, my chat is frozen too. I don't know what's going on with that. It seems like this is the new trick to make it impossible for, us to interact. Bruce Wayne says, hello, RPNM3. Did you get the enamel pin images? Yes, Bruce, I just took the day off yesterday, so I haven't done anything with it, and today I've just been working on this, so I'll email you privately about it. Hey, Jude says, Praying Medic and iPot went to qchannel.show. I don't know what that is, but I'll have to look into it.
I've been seeing people in the chat talk about it. Apparently, there's some new thing on Roku that's going on. I'm learning this from the chat. So if that's true and what they're saying is that, I mean, we just got, we learned something from the chat, and that's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll definitely look into it after the show. And if there's anything, to it, then we'll bring it up later on.
Diane Oman wants to know what size I am. I'm a large, okay? So if you want to send me plaid shirts, I will totally wear them on the air. Let's see. Shad Moore says, you get my email about frog balls. Pretty funny stuff made in China. I think I saw it in the emails, but I haven't read it yet, so I'll go ahead and check it out. Tammy's awake now, says, great show. Hi, guys. Thank you, Tammy. Baby Love 78 says, methods, it's called the fifth column. That's right, the fifth column. I talked about this at length in my show. I want to say it was like my Thursday show. But I mean, this is what the intelligence community is, and this is what the group behind trying to remove President Trump has been, and it's what's been essentially controlling this country all these years. They are interested in putting forth and actuating their own goals, not the goals or what's best for this country. It's all about servicing themselves, holding on to that power, and right now they're trying to remove a duly elected president. Joshua Meltebarger says, love the new show. You and Methods work well together. Live chat is blank on my end. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on with that. DLG says, thank you. Baby Love 78 says, they pretended to be like everyone, and then they flipped the script. Fifth column equals infiltrate and destroy from within. And yeah, this is what I talked about in the video. President Trump, when he came in to office initially, he went to Arlington. He gave a speech to the clowns in America, and he said, I'm going to build you a new house without columns. And he said, you know what I mean? And as soon as I heard him say that, I was like, man, I know what you mean. That was incredible. That was a big moment for me.
Right. Barbara Dill out here in the chat says, in regards to that new streaming channel, listening to Praying Medic's new video, it explains the new place they are streaming. So apparently the video that he's put out recently will explain it to us. So we'll definitely go check it out. Thank you, Barbara.
All right, I'll say that. Let's see. Live Free or Die says that YouTube won't let me super chat this. Dog Choker initially called a MAGA supporter, then doxed as a liberal. Surprised, she donated to Obamacare and Buttigieg. Let me go and see if they turned off the settings again. That would be a whole thing. That seems to keep happening. No, nothing's turned off, so I don't know why they're not letting it happen. Must be the issue with the chat again. John Doe says, infiltration, root of all evil, money and power. Money and power, that's what it's about.
Right.
EO2 Day says, if you don't watch the chat, how can we tell you when you're muted? I'm really making an effort to make sure that I don't go anywhere near the mute button.
And to that point, I will say something every time when I first see like 5 or 6 mutes in a row, because this chat definitely lets us know the chat's working, because they're letting you know your mic's not working. So I'll definitely try to stay up on that.
Okay, and apparently Live Free or Die says she was also fired from her position at Franklin Templeton. Oh, that's too bad. That's what happens. Alan061 says, YouTube CBS says the woman got released from her job also. Okay, sweet. So perfect timing on that. Robin Tepfer says, I'll see your 2 little dogs and raise you a Doberman. Who let the dogs out? Hashtag Muffingate. Keep them coming, guys. I want to see Muffingate memes. Richard Everett's ABL got the story by the guy prior to filming, puts a whole new flavor on the story, makes CNN look real stupid. I'm going to continue to look for more information about that guy. Hopefully I'll be putting him in my video at 6. Law Dog says, can I hit the lady with the New York Times newspaper? I mean, that's up to you. I'm not going to suggest it.
We do not condone violence on this channel.
Yeah, no condoning of violence. Oh, Live Free or Die says, I'm sure it was the content of the message, Red Pill 78. So that probably is the reason. So We also want to make sure that if you guys have certain subjects that you want us to talk about, throw that in a chat as well, and then we'll have dedicated time to go ahead and discuss that. But in the meantime, definitely keep refreshing your chat. Refresh the chat, refresh the page. That's the only thing that I can see that's going to help this out. And can I also get a number on the likes and people watching? I'm showing 3,909 and 2.3 thousand.
I'm seeing 4,072 and 2.6 on my end. And just to this point, since we're talking about new, platforms and stuff, and if there is something for Roku, that's definitely something we're going to look into. We discussed this with this new platform about potential, or with this new show to potentially take it and upload it to other platforms as well, because we understand the problems that we have here with YouTube, and we want everybody to be able to enjoy it and all of that stuff. So part of these discussions that we're having, we're going to work out the kinks, get used to doing this type of show in this format. Mm-hmm. And then we are looking to take this and, upload it in other places after the fact. But here at YouTube is where we get to interact with you while recording this. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely I see a lot of people that are seeing the exact same number, or pretty much the exact same number. So it just might be on your end.
And like I said, I'm unable to use anything now but Chrome. Maybe, try watching the show in Chrome and see if that works. And to the point about Roku, I actually just set up a dedicated Red Pill 78 channel at Roku. So apparently you're going to be able to go into your Roku app and have like my Red Pill 78 icon. I don't exactly know what it's going to look like, but that just got set up actually today.
Great. And TLP in the chat brought it up. Spotify is going to video. So that's something we had discussed, Spotify and all that going on. Obviously, it's been a topic going on since Joe Rogan's moving over there. Yeah, and he's getting paid a little bit of money for it.
Oh man! Apparently, that figure that they put out isn't even the real figure. It's right. Like north of that.
Right, which is still, think about how far podcasting's come from. Mm-hmm. Came since all that. So it is the future of media. Because if you really sit there and I know it sounds like a cringe challenge, but if you sit and really watch the news during the day, like think about the news that we all catch and stuff, but you have any of, including Fox News, playing in the background, how much more do you really learn? Mm-hmm. Or have a thought that somebody says like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. No, we all see, we need the lefty pawn, and then we need the right pawn, and then we need somebody to control things time-wise and cut them off because we got to pay these bills and rake in this money with commercials. Mm-hmm. And they do all that stuff. So to me, this is the future. And I'm glad to see that a lot of people in this movement are doing it and getting better at it, to where we can have a future that are podcasters, or live streamers or whatever.
I need to say thank you to Virginia Whitworth as well. At North Shore Joe says, "Stay strong, Patriot." That was from a couple of days ago, but I didn't get a chance to read it on the air the other day. So just wanted to say thanks for those two guys. Yeah, somebody's saying I'm on Chrome. Brenda Bear, I'm on Chrome. No problem here on my laptop. I really do think that what they're trying to do is force everybody to use their browser, honestly.
Well, I'm full disclosure, I'm using Brave, and I haven't, if people weren't talking about the chat having a problem, I haven't really noticed it as much. Mm-hmm. I just assumed that you were putting on like a longer lag time for in between posts for people, just so it doesn't fly. Because when you don't, this place goes nuts. Real quick, and Landon Larson said in the chat, I believe the new format people want is actual conversation, like podcast or this show, and that's exactly what me and you've been talking about for months, and that's why we created Comfy Sunday. Was we can have this conversation. And sometimes people say things like, oh, well, you need to cover, we'll see comments like, oh, well, you need to cover news, or you need to talk about this, or our favorite Anon just dropped, you need to get to it. And it's like, where's the give and take here? We're doing, we're trying to have a conversation in general. And if we hope to get to this stuff, but at the end of the day, we're going to just keep going with covering whatever we want to talk about and go in the direction, and especially what the chat's talking about.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that I want to keep like the news for the 6 p.m. show. I want the 6 p.m. show to be the daily news. We want this show to be conversation. We want Comfy Sunday to be conversation mixed with, a conversation from an outside party. And then Friday and Saturday night to be interviews with people of all types. So That way, we've got a number of different formats of shows here on the channel because, certain people like to watch this show. Certain people like to watch the 6 p.m. show. There are people who watch the 6 p.m. show that don't watch this show, or they don't watch the interviews on the weekend. So, out of the 224,000 people who are subscribed to the channel, there are groups within that group. It would be awesome if all of those people would watch each and every show. I mean, I think that might send a message to the algorithm. And, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and do that because that helps out the channel. And it's going to make it more likely that the shows are going to be suggested to people. That's why we ask you to like and share the show. The interaction with the channel, the interaction with each show is supposed to be what sends the message out to the algorithm and says, this is a show that we should be pushing out to people. The more people that like it, the more people that comment, the more people that share on it. Each of those things is just a little piece of the pie. Now, it's very possible also that they're just not going to pay attention to that at all, and they're going to keep me in a little box in my own corner of the platform. But I think that it's a lot more likely that if we have every single person who watches the show interacting with the show, then it's going to help get the information out, and it's going to help us have more eyes on the program. I talk about Facebook. I don't have Facebook, but hey, share the show on Facebook. People out there are going to see it. If you have a Twitter, share it on Twitter. If you're on Parler, if you're on any of these other platforms, put it out there. Send people to the channel and, give us a little boost. We certainly appreciate it when it happens.
Absolutely. And just a comment that I really like in the chat from Mopar Madness. Mods are fantastic here. Thank you, mods. And absolutely. Mm-hmm. By all means, the mods try to keep things going on because we all the way down to the top shelf bots that we've talked about. They snipe them real quick and get them out of here. So once again, the chat would not be the same without the mods. So we thank you.
Yeah. Let me see. Who else? Somebody somebody else told me to check the Ursula 1111. Ursula, I don't see the message here in my inbox unless your name isn't Ursula 1111 here.
If Ursula sent it to your DM on Twitter, because that's where I got it.
Yeah, that's where I'm looking and I don't see it.
Here, I'll send it over to you, man.
Okay.
It's a link to a tweet, so yeah,
okay,
there you go on that.
Let's see. All right, let me take a look.
I appreciate it. Joseph Hershey says, I watch them all. I'm addicted to Methods and Red Pill 78. Hey man, we hope you enjoy this. We hope a lot of you do. I know that certain people don't have time always to just drop what they're doing or put in headphones and listen to this. You guys got different things going on in your lives and all that, but we definitely do this to hang out and chat with you guys. So we'll hopefully here in the future at least be clipping off maybe the first hour of this show and uploading it other places to where you can catch it at other times and all that and not have to necessarily worry about YouTube.
Mm-hmm. All right, there we go. All right, I got it and I shared it. All right. Also, Hey Jude says it uses Roku, adding Amazon Fire Stick and Apple TV. Are you referring about the new platform that iPod and Dave are using, or is that something else? Then cue the music. Thank you. Daddy Crab says, good to see y'all continuing the show. Thanks to you, Methods, and live chat. Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Oh, the book giveaway. You guys, I forgot about the book giveaway.
Hey, perfect time for it. Yeah. And Debbie Glass in the chat says Mark Taylor talks positive about the Cube movement. Yeah. No, he's been on this channel multiple times.
Yes, he has. And he'll be back. Also, I just got Praying Medic's book in the mail today. He's going to be on the show very soon. We're in the middle of scheduling it. All right, so I need to give this book away. All right, so here's how it's going to work. I need, after the show's complete, I need you guys to actually go to this archived page on my channel and leave a comment under the video, okay? Leave a comment and leave a like if you haven't left a like yet. And then we'll go ahead and I'll pick one of you guys to receive this book. You're going to have to leave some way for me to contact you in that chat, and I'll pick you, and then we can go ahead and send an email, and I'll get your address and I'll send it out to you.
Well, go ahead and say what the book is, man.
Oh, yeah. I'm assuming that everybody remembers. It is The Electoral College for Patriots by Town Crier, who is a viewer on the channel. So let me read the back. A large number of state legislators have sworn an oath to the U.S. Constitution. Have they violated that oath by upholding state laws that bind the votes of presidential electors? Is this an unconstitutional practice that could give life to the National Popular Vote Compact? The federal legislators who also swore an oath have allowed this to transpire. Why? This book's creation was sparked by an online debate about whether or not the NPV Compact stands up to constitutional scrutiny. The author researched historical facts and discovered more alarming questions. Are there federal laws governing federal elections? Do the words of your state laws clash with the U.S. Constitution? Which set of laws is supreme? Can a compact affect states not signed on to said compact? Who will win this online debate? What is the Supreme Court's opinion? It is our responsibility as U.S. citizens to have this knowledge lest we suffer from the lacking of it. So, sounds pretty interesting. Definitely. What's that?
Say the title one more time. There's people in the chat asking where they could buy it.
The Electoral College for Patriots. So it is an exercise in the legalities of the Electoral College and state laws which override federal laws, which should not be happening at all. Hey, Jude. Yes, she was referring to that. Okay, thank you, Hey, Jude. John Asturias says the Mandela Effect, thoughts or opinions and critiques. And then also Gail R. and 84 Nam Nam have both joined as members. Oh, okay. So this is a great way to kill the last 9 minutes of the show. The Mandela Effect. You know, I don't know whether or not the Mandela Effect has any legitimacy. I've never personally experienced anything like the Mandela Effect, but I hear a lot of people saying that they do. I guess the closest I came was thinking that there was a genie movie. Who was it? Is this? I don't even remember if this is it, but there was supposedly a genie movie with Sinbad, but then it turned out that there was never a genie movie with Sinbad, and I don't know if it was just the idea that his name is Sinbad and people associated him with a genie or something like that. But
I think that had to do with something about like the Kazam movie or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that what's his name? He also played Steel. The big guy. The big basketball player.
Oh, I'm gonna leave you. I know who it is, but I'm gonna leave you out here for a minute. Make you try to figure it out.
I can't remember his name. Big
basketball player guy is all you got.
I mean, I just know that he's huge.
What team did he play for, Renzo?
Was he on the Lakers?
At one point, yeah. You're talking about Shaq.
Shaq, that's it. Shaq. Was Shaq in Kazam? Is that how it went?
I think so. I don't want to do the effect here live on air, but yeah, I'd have to go look back at it, but I am dropping the link for people in the chat. Yeah, and the chat knows who it is because they understand sports. I'm dropping the link to that book in the chat for anybody that just wants to buy it, that Repo was just talking about.
Oh, the Berenstain Bears. I remember that one. That one, I guess I did think that it was spelled the way that it's not spelled. But I don't know. But I mean, the last time I read Berenstain Bear books is when I was, like 5 years old. So again, I don't know if it's just a symptom of, my memory being faulty or if the title was actually different at a time in the past. I think the Mandela Effect is a fascinating theory. And I don't see anything wrong with, listening to people who believe that the Mandela Effect is true. And I mean, I'm interested in talking to them about it. But I mean, I don't have anything that really, I think, is a part of the Mandela Effect. I mean, except for the Berenstain Bears thing. But even then, I can explain away. So, I don't know. Big Mike Loves Barry says, get it, guys. Love the new show and your elevated stoke level. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Big Mike Loves Barry. I mean, yeah, Edge of Wonder has done a great show on the Mandela Effect. I don't know enough about it. It's never been one of those things that I seriously looked into. I just always, kind of saw it on the periphery, and it just never really caught my attention. John Asturias says, just a fun topic to jazz up the end of the new Occam's Razor show. Love you guys and your work. Thank you very much for that, John Asturias. But Methods, what do you think about the Mandela Effect? And here's the thing. In theory, I believe that the Mandela effect could be real, because I can get on board with the idea of there being parallel universes. Just because I can. I mean, I guess I can go into ideas behind it in another time. But recently, there was just some experiments done in Antarctica, which like scientifically supports the idea of a parallel universe. And maybe the Mandela effect is the kind of, mixing of those universes and things changing. But I don't know. What do you think, Methods?
I mean, I don't put a whole lot of stock into it. First off, I want to ask the chat real quick. Give me a 1 if you believe that the Mandela effect is real. Give me a 2 if you think that it's just, not true. I don't know. I mean, the false memory thing, I mean, does that also play into it if people tell enough generations over time that something happened and then they find out later that it didn't? Is it an echo chamber thing, or are we talking about actual like memories that you think you had entirely that didn't, and a lot of people thought they had the same thing?
I mean, I've seen videos where this woman claims that her husband is not really her husband, or her sister is not really her sister. And I mean, there's no way to sauce that. So that's
a lot of ones in the chat, but I got some twos out there. And what I mean by not stock, I mean, to me, I always try to, I don't like to say necessarily the parallel universe stuff. You know me, I kind of keep it, I keep the idea and stuff in like comic book movies that I like, mm-hmm. I live in that world. Mm-hmm. But as far as that goes, to me, people have dreams. They have, prophetic dreams that end up, coming true. You'll have like, we'll say God talks to you or whatever, stuff like that. It's things that otherwise you can't explain except it happened within you. So maybe things get planted in the mind, from, your higher power to have those thoughts or whatever. I don't know. And that's why I don't do shows on the Mandela effect. I go listen to things like Edge of Wonder, mm-hmm. who definitely cover all those things. So yeah, I mean, I have an opinion and I don't, and I just kind of fumbled through the whole thing.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Any other ones that popped up? Let's see. Denise says, I disremember frequently. It's called it getting old. Yes. I mean, I know that that's happening to me. Looney Tunes says Shazam. Shazam, that was the movie? Or is it Kazam?
I don't know. See, now I'm not. Y'all going to have me researching things I grew up watching.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and somebody said something about Sally Field's speech being wiped from the internet. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I know that she came out on stage and said something like, you like me, you really like me. Or I guess, Star Wars. This is really applicable because I love Star Wars. Darth Vader saying, Luke, I am your father. But apparently he said, no, I am your father. I don't know, something like that. But he said, I'm your father. And he put it out.
Well, let me put the whole Shaq movie to bed. It's called Kazam. And then let me just look up Shazam just so we can go ahead and get, because I mean, this is going to bother me all day. So you guys got to experience this with me. Yeah. Shazam is just that new movie that came out that I'm seeing.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a good movie. I saw that.
Right. Yeah. And people are asking in the chat. Yeah. Me and Red Pill really do like watching, like superhero movies type stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of just something that we chat about. Is what it is. Everybody's got their different thing that they watch and all that, but I don't want to use the word nerd on Red Pill's channel at him, but yeah, I don't go as far on certain things that Red Pill might be, but that's just something that we like to wind down and talk about. We don't always talk about this stuff here. We're friends just as much off air as you guys hear on air.
Yeah. I might make Methods talk about some things he doesn't want to talk about on this show, though.
All right, and I'll definitely let everybody in the audience know. I don't want to talk about it, but I will.
Yeah.
Because I don't. That's the beauty about this movement, is that people are into different things, and you can kind of go and see if I hear about something, I'm like, oh, I heard this person did a good video on it. I can go watch it,
mm-hmm.
and then I still will develop my own opinion. But that's the beauty of this, is that we have so many different. People are into all this different stuff. People know I pick on alien stuff a lot. It's
mm-hmm.
just because I find it funny to myself. And also I look more into the supernatural world. And when I'm talking about things like that, But yeah, so we'll have different conversations on here. Don't always expect for us to try to act like the smartest people in the room about it. We'll give our 2 cents, read from the chat, and hang out. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I don't mind being wrong on anything. So.
Hold on, Gaia Love. I feel like I've heard this story before. My husband always told me he never followed his dream to be a cop because his ex-wife wouldn't let him be. But now, if asked, he says his father wouldn't let him and doesn't remember saying X. Gaia Love, did you put that out in some form? Like, has that been a public story? Because I have heard that story before. Maybe you sent it to me in an email long ago, and I don't remember. But John Asturias says, smash that like button, y'all. I'm going to do one more plea, you guys. One more time. As you're leaving the show today, please do hit that like button. Please do share it, and if you want to be entered into the contest to win this book from a fellow Real Red Pill family member, then you got to leave a comment on the video. After it's done, you just close out the chat, and then you leave a comment under the video. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. I'm going to be back at 6 p.m., and then Methods and I will be back Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Jeff Hinders, I don't ever remember C-3PO having a silver leg. Yeah, wasn't he all gold? And then in the new movies, they gave him a red arm? I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do a show about the Mandela effect now.
He's just dude's walking out the door, and he's going to have you researching now.
All right, guys. Thanks again for being here. I appreciate everybody coming to hang out. Methods, thanks for doing the show with me again. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, much love, everybody.